Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey really sparked by Dr. Ruhail Chowdhury's new book, Suppressed Voices.
That's right.
Our mission is pretty straightforward, but also, quite profound. Explore who or what often goes unheard.
People, nature, maybe even parts of ourselves.
Exactly. And importantly, why does this silence matter so much?
And Dr. Chowdhury, he brings such a unique perspective, doesn't he? Corporate lawyer, writer, columnist.
Yeah, a really interesting mix. Gives him a particular lens on these social issues.
Definitely.
And what strikes you immediately is the sheer range in the book. It's not just one kind of silence.
No, it's marginalized people, it's the natural world, it's these big societal problems.
It really forces you to ask, in this incredibly noisy world we live in, what important voices are we actually missing?
That's the big question we're tackling today, isn't it?
It is.
The book kicks off with this thought that kind of sets the tone. The more we think we know.
The more we realize we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's humbling, right? Especially now with so much information flying around.
It really is. And he jumps right into the deep end origin of life, the universe.
Huge questions. Reminds you how much is still unknown about, well, everything. Our existence.
He touches on the science bit. Earth forming 4.6 billion years ago from, what, cosmic dust?
Yeah, a number so big it's hard to even picture.
Right. And then, this is fascinating, he draws a parallel.
Oh, the part about ancient Indian cosmology.
Exactly. The concept of a kalpa, one day of Brahma.
And the time scale is something like 4.32 billion years.
Pretty much. Which is just, wow, it's incredibly close to the scientific age of Earth.
That alignment is amazing coming from such different ways of thinking.
It really suggests this maybe fundamental human need to understand where we came from, the sheer scale of time.
Kind of shared quest, maybe?
Could be. And the book points out this common thread in a lot of these creation stories, scientific or religious.
Interconnectedness?
Yes, that. And a sense of sacredness about life itself. Which feels like a good place to maybe pivot slightly.
Okay.
Because the book moves from the cosmos right down to Earth to nature's suppressed voice.
Ah, yes, this profound link between nature, Earth, and us. Inseparable, he calls it.
And it's easy to forget, isn't it? Our dependence.
Totally. Nature is the source. Air, food, water, the essentials.
The absolute foundation.
And it does more than just provide stuff, right? It regulates climate, purifies water, maintains biodiversity.
That whole complex web of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And losing bits of that web weakens the whole thing. It's all connected.
And Dr. Chowdhury really hammers this home. We're part of nature, not outside it.
Right. So damaging ecosystems.
It's damaging ourselves
directly.
It's not some abstract problem out there.
And he brings in the spiritual side, too, that Mother Earth idea found in so many cultures.
Suggests a deeper, older understanding of the planet as nurturing, something to respect.
But the reality is stark, isn't it? Climate change, deforestation, pollution, biodiversity loss.
All direct consequences of, well, our actions, ignoring that connection.
Yeah. So the call is really to shift our mindset from masters
to stewards, taking responsibility.
for the long haul, for future generations.
Okay, so from nature broadly, the deep dive then zooms in on one element, water.
Water, yeah. Jala in ancient Indian philosophy. So fundamental.
And the book looks at both its physical reality and its symbolic weight.
Right. The fact that Earth is 71% water, essential for all life, but also what water represents.
Fluidity, sustenance, transformation.
The cycle of life, really. Oceans, rivers, they hold huge philosophical meaning in many traditions.
Sources of creation, purification.
But then there's the harsh truth, the threats, pollution.
Industrial, urban, agricultural runoff, even some religious practices the book mentions.
And the examples are grim. The Yangtze, Ganges, Nile, Amazon, major rivers, all struggling.
That UN report about fragmented rivers,
Yeah.
that really highlights the scale, doesn't it? It's global.
Absolutely. And the focus on the Ganga, given its sacred status,
Yeah.
it's particularly painful to read about.
Sewage, industrial waste, mismanagement, just immense pressure.
And the book acknowledges people trying to help, like Dr. Guru Das Agarwal, Swami Sanand, and the Namaganj Project.
But it's realistic about the challenges, too. Population, infrastructure, funding, politics.
It's a huge, complex problem. And it's not just the Ganga.
Right, the Yamuna, Godavari, Narmada,
Yeah.
other Indian rivers facing similar issues.
It points to this deeper disconnect, doesn't it, between us and nature? A failure to honor something vital.
So the solution has to be multi-pronged. Science, government, public awareness.
And a shift in consciousness, recognizing the sacredness again.
Following water, the focus shifts again, this time to forests.
The silencing of forests. Powerful phrasing. Portrayed as these ancient guardians we're losing.
To cities, to profit, sometimes just for convenience, it seems.
And the examples are global again. Amazon, Indonesia, Congo Basin, boreal forests.
All under threat from different pressures: agriculture, logging, mining, climate change.
And the book makes a crucial point. Our own consumption choices play a role. Our indifference contributes.
It's not just about losing trees, is it?
Not at all. It's ecosystems collapsing, species going extinct, indigenous knowledge vanishing.
A betrayal of the future, as the book puts it.
Yeah. So the call is for reverence, responsibility, a global view of forests as sacred, vital, not just timber.
From the plant kingdom, we then move to animals, the voiceless.
Those who can't speak our language to tell us they're suffering. Street dogs, circus elephants, lab animals.
Their pain often unseen or just accepted, normalized, tragically.
And that Tolstoy quote is chilling, isn't it? Slaughterhouses and battlefields.
It really makes you think about how easily animals become commodities in our consumer culture.
Their intrinsic value just overlooked.
But there's hope too, right? The book highlights people and groups working for them.
Yes. Ratan Tata and Stray Dogs, Maneka Gandhi's work with People for Animals, and Ambani's Vantora project.
And bigger groups like the Sheldrick Trust for Elephants, the Humane Society fighting factory farming.
So many people doing crucial work.
Yeah.
But the scale of the problem, the statistics on cruelty, it's still overwhelming.
Farmed animals, lab testing, wildlife trafficking.
The book links this back to older wisdom, too. Compassion in indigenous cultures, in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, ahimsa.
Non-violence to all beings, a long-standing principle.
Yeah, and even small digital acts can raise awareness now.
So the appeal is really listen with your heart. Recognize their silence isn't consent.
Exactly. And make ethical choices.
Yeah.
Adoption, cruelty-free products, things like that. Thinking about how your choices impact them.
Okay, this leads us into another heavy topic, the history of suppressed voices among humans.
Yeah, really sobering look at how the powerful have historically silenced the weak, the marginalized.
Slavery, colonization, persecution of indigenous peoples, caste systems.
And the book makes you think about those grand monuments.
Yeah.
Built on the suffering of unnamed people.
People whose stories are lost. It wasn't accidental silence, was it?
Often engineered. Think of the slave trade, erasing indigenous cultures. The caste system's rigid structure.
And it's not just history. Modern examples, too.
Racial injustice, gender discrimination, refugee crises, the working poor. The patterns continue.
There's a philosophical point there about dehumanizing the other to justify it all.
A deeply troubling tendency. But crucially, the book also stresses that silence never truly lasts.
Resistance always emerges.
Exactly. The civil rights movement, anti-apartheid, women's suffrage, indigenous rights, LGBTQ+ movements, climate justice.
That Martin Luther King Jr. quote about the moral arc, bending towards justice, it gives you hope.
It does, though the book notes how suppression adapts in the digital age. But so does resistance.
Right. Social media as a tool for amplification, but also for misinformation.
So the call is for deep listening, humility, courage, responsibility, making sure no voice is too small.
The next section uses this incredibly stark image, the crushed hand.
Oh yes, that image from the rubble after a disaster. So visceral.
A symbol of lives just gone. All that potential extinguished in an instant.
You're forced to imagine the person, their story, their dreams. Now just silence.
The irony of a life full of meaning reduced to this whisper from the debris, it's heartbreaking.
And the book talks about the echo, these hidden lives still crying out.
It really pushes you to question the meaning of that kind of loss. What's the cost of forgetting?
Forgetting the faces, the individual stories behind the numbers.
So it becomes a plea to value the moments we have, recognize how fragile life is.
And to honor those whose songs were cut short. Carry their memory, speak for them.
Which leads, tragically, to another group who cannot speak for themselves. Trafficked children.
A fate the book calls worse than death. A slow breaking of body, mind, spirit.
The statistics mentioned from the UNODC, from India's NCRB, they're horrifying.
Especially the numbers of missing children, girls particularly, for exploitation, forced labor.
And these aren't just numbers, they're stolen childhoods, unimaginable trauma.
The book calls it a shameful commerce. Children as merchandise. It's sickening.
That contrast between death of flame extinguished and trafficking a slow smothering, it really hits hard.
And those questions. What's it like to be trapped, neither living nor dying, forced into begging or prostitution?
It exposes the deep cruelty. And the book really calls out the silence, the indifference of the comfortable world.
Yeah, why can we build rockets but not protect vulnerable kids? It's a stark question.
The need for empathy, for action beyond just laws, it feels urgent.
What's the point of progress if children are suffering like this?
Their untold stories need to be heard. Our collective conscience needs to wake up.
Louder voices, stronger protection, more empathy. Tearful eyes, the book says, for the deeply wounded.
This leads into the final major section, a kind of overarching plea for humanity.
Facing up to atrocities. The deep pain caused by brutality against the innocent.
How it scars civilization itself.
And it stresses the universality of that pain. A parent losing a child in Texas or Peshawar or Gaza. The grief is the same.
It revisits historical horrors, Rwanda, the Holocaust as reminders.
And focuses specifically on Jallianwala Bagh, that senseless massacre.
A peaceful gathering, unarmed people, gunned down. A stark lesson about unchecked power, dehumanization.
Lessons we still need to heed today, the book argues.
It doesn't shy away from current suffering either. Kashmir Pandits, Nirpaya, other horrific cases.
Highlighting the dehumanization and indifference are always at the root. And quoting that line.
Evil does not succeed because of the strength of the wicked, but because of the silence of the righteous. Powerful.
Makes you imagine the children witnessing violence, those born in refugee camps, the trauma.
And the paradox again. Technological leaps alongside barbarism, empathy lagging behind.
And the point that no nation, no group is immune. Universal humanism is the only defense.
So the plea is for remembering history, for justice, for responsible media.
Governments protecting the vulnerable, global unity against atrocities.
And then it touches on religion, the paradox there.
How core messages of peace, this is Ayatollah Mbakam, the Gita, Quran, Sikh scriptures, the Bible, get twisted into hate.
Stressing the need for reflection, empathy, questioning, to reclaim religion as a force for unity.
The plea ends by saying humanity is incomplete while the innocent suffer, while their cries are just news not felt in our hearts.
A call to end suffering, to let compassion rise.
So wrapping up this deep dive into suppressed voices, we've covered a lot.
We really have. Nature, animals, marginalized people, victims of tragedy, trafficked children, those enduring atrocities.
And it's clear they're all connected, isn't it? Indifference in one area often fuels problems elsewhere.
Which leaves us with that final, really crucial question for you listening.
What is our responsibility, individually, collectively?
How can we help amplify these voices? How do we build a world where everyone, everything gets heard and valued?
It's something to really reflect on. Our own actions, our choices, the systems we're part of.
And if this conversation has sparked something in you, we definitely recommend checking out Dr. Chowdhury's book, Suppressed Voices.
Or exploring any of these topics further. There's always more to learn, always ways to make a difference.